Hey everybody, welcome back. David Yon and the stunning Miss Lady Pop Hunter here, answering a challenge.
Yay,
a challenge coming from Alan over at Comic Collector Geek. And if you are not familiar with Alan, we've had him on a couple of live chats and we've been on his channel before. Do check his channel out. You know, if you're into comic books, you'll get something out of it. It's an interesting channel. He's got a lot of knowledge to share. So this is a challenge, 10 90s books or so, give or take.
You know, you show as many books as you want.
Because if you want to do this challenge, feel free, just copy the hashtags and put them on your version. So 10 books from what he called the Plastic Age, because, you know, you got Golden Age, Platinum Age, Silver Age, and so on. And he calls like the 90s kind of the Plastic Age. I think of it more along the lines of the Aluminum Age because of how they started plating books. You know, they put like hologram covers or a foil. Maybe it's the Foil Age. That would still be aluminum though. Chromium covers and embossing, and that was all that fancy gimmicks they started doing in the 90s, which is where that comes from, his Plastic Age analogy. And LPH also has done this challenge, and so you can pop to her channel and see her list of books. And for an example, you know, I'll just show you here. This is what he means. Like, here's Punisher 2099 #1, and you see that it's got like that metallic embossing frame on it. And they must have made like 2-3 million copies of this. They were cranking them out in the 90s. Although it's tough to find one in really good shape because this is not a book you can really press. So you can't fix this if it gets messed up. But that's kind of what he's talking about, or things like this. Image did a ton of this kind of stuff. There's Supreme #1 with foil and embossing.
Oh, wow.
So this is an embossed cover. You can touch it. But that's what he's talking about. And what did, who is it? Image probably made like 150 million copies of this.
They didn't make 150
500 million copies. But, you know, there's a ton of them out there. They're underappreciated because of how many there are. And that's kind of indigenous to what he's talking about from that era. I just want to show a couple of examples. And there are a lot of culturally significant things from that era as well, and a lot of things that have been forgotten about. And here's some loose ones. And this, of course, is your Superman the Man of Steel #17, first and second print. And this is the first cameo appearance of Doomsday, to be followed by #18, which is the first full appearance of Doomsday. Interesting character. They could have done more with him. They could have developed him better. I don't have a copy of The Death of Superman handy. I've got one. But that's also very culturally significant because of how many they printed off, how many special editions there were, how many times they did reprints on it. I mean, they had the little gift pack that had the black armband with an S on it and everything. They went all in with it like you were actually attending Superman's funeral.
And then he comes back.
Yeah, and then he didn't really die. But that's why I think that Doomsday's character is more interesting and more important than the actual death of Superman. You know, I like the Doomsday character, and I like how they explained him and what they did with him. Here's one from Archie Comics, and that's the Street Sharks. And I love these kind of like cartoon-related comic books.
Yeah.
And this is not an easy one to find, although it's not worth a fortune. It's tough to find a decent copy of Street Sharks. You know what's another one that's tough to find?
What's that?
Conan the Adventurer.
Yeah,
and those
I
are
want
some
that one.
Nice covers.
You have that whole set.
Yeah, it's like a 12 or 14 issue set, Conan the Adventurer. If I had thought of it at the time, I would have brought it down to show you. But it's a real nice set. I think the first issue is also a chromed over cover, by the way, with the embossing and everything. But great artwork in that series, and it's not easy to find. It's crazy. This is another one that's a big cultural significant book from that time period, and that is Amazing Spider-Man 361, first appearance of Carnage. But even though this is a book that's a bit more pricey, it's a book that a lot of people have. And again, significant, although it went way up and then died when Venom 2 came out because the movie didn't do very well and they didn't like what they did with the Carnage character. And you know how that goes, guys.
Yeah.
Nowadays, if people like, oh, the hot book, and then the price skyrockets and then it flatlines and drops and ends up going below where it once was because people are fickle.
Yeah.
People are fickle, and
that thing I don't like when that happens.
Like it or don't.
Yeah, because if this book came out in the 90s,
yes,
the Carnage movie didn't come out till a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So you either like it or you don't.
That's all those speculative buyers.
You know?
And then they get upset because it didn't do well, and they start throwing it. It's like the stock market. Oh, the stock's not doing well. Let me sell mine now. And then it tanks the stock, and then everybody loses.
Yeah.
Some of these are graded. This is New Mutants 98, first appearance of Deadpool, the Rob Liefeld, or Liefeld. Liefeld or Liefeld? I think it's Liefeld.
I always heard Liefeld, but I have no idea.
I keep forgetting. I get it mixed up. If I say one, somebody tells me the other. So, whatever. I'll ask him one day. New Mutants 98, and this is a graded 9.6, and this is one that I pressed out myself because it was like a 7, 7.5. So this is one of the books that I did that really bumped. And so that's one of the main reasons I like this one.
You're going to keep that for all eternity.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I'll put it in the casket with me. One of the I like the original version of Deadpool, the modern like adolescent sleazy like bathroom humor version that they have now. I do not like. I don't like that. I'm not 12 anymore. I know somebody's going to get offended by that, but I like the way he was before. I don't like the changes.
Yeah.
This one she already showed, and of course that is Ragman. And there's a lot of really good titles from this time period that have just kind of been forgotten about.
Yeah.
And Ragman is one of them. This is a character they could have done a lot with and didn't. Especially when they redeveloped the story and explained the costume and the history and everything better.
Yeah. Well, they gave the costume a backstory, because in the original story, it was just, he found a costume and put it on.
Yeah.
And in this series, they kind of gave you an origin of his costume, and then it made him make sense.
Yeah. This one is another one that's they just can't seem to do it right. Oh no, there was one. You had that one Superman cartoon. Yeah. And they had Lobo in it, and I said, hey, that's actually pretty close to how he's portrayed in the comics.
Yeah, that was actually, I can't remember which Superman movie that was, but Lobo was in it. And that character was pretty good. I enjoyed that.
He was funny. He was funny, especially when Lois was trying to interview him. He was just being nasty.
Yeah, and you kind of felt good because Lois is just not a character that has ever been portrayed as likable.
Yeah.
She's always just been like, man, I wish she'd get killed.
Even all the way back to the Fleischer Superman from the 40s.
Yeah, and she was not likable.
He didn't seem to like her though. In that one, he wasn't all smitten with Lois. He was just like, oh, God, Lois again, kind of attitude, which makes more sense because she's a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
This is another one I pressed out myself, and I love the artwork on this. Simon Bisley artwork, and Lobo done right is a good thing.
They said they want to do a Lobo and make Jason Moana.
I've heard that. You know, I always wanted Randy Savage to do it. And then they were like, Randy Savage can't act. And we're like, how many actors out there that are big stars can't act? They can get, all he has to do is act like Macho Man Randy Savage is close enough. That was pretty much it. There's the Topps. Who remembers Topps used to make comic books? Topps, Cadillacs, and Dinosaurs #1. And this is the second version, the second storyline. And this is the special edition one, you see that it's also got the foil embossing right there. There it is. Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, kind of been forgotten about, but still beloved by a lot of people. The action figures. If action figures turn up at the show or comics at a comic show, people hunt these down. They're looking for this kind of stuff. Love the old Cadillacs and Dinosaurs. And that's great artwork, too, actually. There's a lot of detail there, as you can see. Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, everybody. Who remembers that? Ghost Rider, here's another one I worked on. Ghost Rider Hot Pursuit #1 from 1993. This, it's not a terribly valuable book, but a very rare one. Very difficult to find in decent condition, and this is why. This is the KB Toy Store exclusive that they gave away on a Saturday in the summer in 1993 at KB Toy Stores across the country. Select KBs in certain malls had a handful of these. They got a box with like 20 or 30 of them in there to give them out to the first handful of kids that asked. And it was part of like a Toy Biz action figure promotion or something. There's very few of these that survived that.
Oh, wow.
And so to find, if you looked on eBay, you might find a dozen copies. But especially in that kind of grade, it's just a nice little piece of history, I think. It says a $1.50 value because it was not for sale. It was supposed to give it away. This is a Marvel, and this is from 85. 85.
You supposed to get
95. I'm sorry, 95. I said it wrong. It's 95. Look at you jump on me.
Because you're messing up the challenge.
Messing up the challenge. Virtua Fighter #1. Any of these kind of like video game comic books from the 80s or 90s, just really tough to find, except for Atari Force for some reason. Underrated, by the way. But Atari Force, you can find it in the bins. Anything else like this, I mean, try to find a copy of Sonic or Mario Brothers or anything like that. And the stuff goes for crazy money now. But yeah, the old like Virtua Fighter, this one, Street Fighter, and things like that. This is for the Sega Saturn. Who remembers that?
I remember the name.
Sega Saturn.
I only ever had one video game, the original Nintendo, and then when I got to be an adult, I bought the first PlayStation.
And it's a newsstand. But yeah, this is any old video game kind of books like that, and that's also culturally significant. And people are really hunting for those now, and they're hard to find. Yeah, they're paying crazy money for some of the old video game covers. And then this one, which is probably something that almost nobody who's seeing this is going to recognize.
Alan has a copy.
He probably does. Hilly Rose, #1 from Astro Comics. Because just like in the 80s, in the 90s, there was still a lot of independents cranking out their own books. And they're hard to find. They're hard to find, underappreciated, not worth a lot. Even in a 9.8, this is probably not even worth $100, you know. But try to find a copy of this, even loose. And interesting artwork, unique storyline, independent publisher. I like that kind of stuff. It doesn't have to be worth a fortune for me to appreciate it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This doesn't have to be the most expensive book in the pile. I like this kind of stuff. So I don't know if that was 10. Probably not. It's probably more. That's okay.
But it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Just like Bill Murray said in Meatballs, it just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. Back when Bill Murray couldn't act yet.
No.
He didn't start getting good until like the 90s. He wasn't even... I know somebody else is going to get mad. He wasn't a great actor, but he developed. He got to be good. He got to be good as time wore on. But anyway... He was
good in Ghostbusters.
He was okay in Ghostbusters. He wasn't a great actor, even in Ghostbusters.
He was good in What About Bob?
What About Bob was good.
He was funny.
And then Groundhog Day, he did a great job.
Yeah, nah, he did that
great job in Groundhog
Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Lost in Translation, he was pretty good. that he did a great job.
That's the one where he was in the airport, staying in the airport.
No,
that was on the other guy.
That was Tom Hanks you're thinking of. No, that's the one where he was. He's a washed-up actor doing commercials in Japan.
Oh no, I never saw Lost in Translation.
Yeah, it's a decent film. Mm-hmm. But anyways, guys, what do you think? Did you see anything there that brought back a memory? Anything there that you had? Anything there you never seen before? Or whatever? Tell us about it. Also, remember, this is a challenge from Comic Collector Geek.
Alan!
Hey, Alan, how you doing? Are you watching, Alan? Maybe, maybe not. No, he'll probably see this video.
Yeah.
So it's a challenge from his channel. Check his channel out.
Yeah.
Comic Collector Geek. It's not hard to find. And if you also want to do this challenge, the hashtags are there. Just copy them. Mm-hmm. You know, share the concept. Remember, she has her own that she did on her channel, Lady Pop Hunter.
Yeah.
So take a look over there. Mm-hmm. And if that's it, then what more can we say? But thanks for watching, and we will see you again soon.